and I'm presenting on behalf of Group 4, Sushmita, Samipya, Vaibhavi, Ayush, and myself. And our project is the AI powered legal contract reviewer. So, the core idea is making legal understanding accessible to everyone. So the problem is everyday people sign job offers, leases, NDAs, and freelance agreements without understanding what they are agreeing to legal reviews, and it literally cost $200 to $500 per hour, and it was completely out of reach for most individuals and small businesses as well. So existing AI tools like Google NLP treat these contracts as generic text, and they don't understand legal meaning, and they miss clause relationships, and they have no idea what states laws apply. So there was no accessible tool that reads a contract and explains it in plain English, and it scores the risk value and tells you what to negotiate. So that's a gap we solved. So we hit three real challenges. For the first, free LLM APIs have token limits. So long contracts has to be split into individual clauses before processing it. And the second risk, scoring has no universal legal standard. So we designed our own weighted heuristic system. And the last one, the Windows path. The length limitation blocked us from downloading the full contract, understanding dataset PDFs directly. So our solution is a four-agent LangGraph pipeline. It actually helps us to extract, analyze, and also it advise. And you can chat with their with all the agents, and it shares a single contract state object. And we built a hybrid RAG with 47 documents in ChromaDB and 20 legal knowledge chunks plus 7 real contract understanding these dataset examples. So here is the complete flow of our agents. The user uploads a PDF or pastes text into Streamlit, and our agent one extracts and splits the contract into individual clauses. And then comes to agent two, it queries our ChromaDB RAG and its knowledge base, and it scores each clauses for risk. And then our agent 3 generates the advisory report with negotiation tips, and the results will be displayed across four tabs in the UI. And the last agent is a chat interface, so users can ask specific questions what they have any doubts about their legal contract, and in it would be works in the real time.
Hello everyone, my name is Samipya and I will be breaking down the technical system architecture of our project. So it starts with the user input. So a user would upload a PDF file, or he can also paste a text input of the contract. So that goes into our Streamlit interface, the front end, which you will see later in the demo. And the core of the agent is the pipeline that is coordinated by the LangGraph. Inside it are four agents, so each one handling one stage of the review, passing the contract from one to the next, kind of like an assembly line. And I will be breaking down more about the agents on the next slide. What I want to highlight here are the two components powering that pipeline. On the right is the language model, that is the Grok Llama 3.3. This is access to the Grok's free tier. And on the left is the RAG knowledge base. That is the 27 legal documents that is stored in the Chroma DB. So when the system analyzes a clause, it retrieves the most relevant legal references and feeds them to the model. So the output is grounded in real legal standards rather than the model general knowledge. So that is the RAG component. At the bottom is the risk scoring. Sorry, go back to the, yes. At the bottom is the risk scoring. Each clause type carries a weight, a non-compete and termination count, and those all combine into one score that maps into low, medium, or high risk. So contracts comes in, moves through the pipeline, grounded by a legal knowledge base and powered by a hosted model, and the user would get back a output with a clear score recommendation and a plain language summary. Next slide, please. Okay, so here I go over the four agents. So agent one is the extraction agent. It reads the raw contract and turns unstructured text into organized data, the clause types, the parties, the dates, and the contract type. So we do this by asking the model to return its answer in a structured format. So agent two is our analysis agent. So for each clause, it pulls the relevant legal standards from the RAG knowledge base and it scores that clause from 1 to 10 for risk. It also detects the jurisdiction since the same clause can be riskier in one state than another. And then finally, it combines the clause scores into a one weighted overall score. Agent three is the advisory agent. So everything before was the internal analysis. This agent translates it into something a non-lawyer can use, a plain English summary, like a negotiation report, and with a clear recommendation to sign, negotiate, or avoid. And the final agent is the conversational agent. This one is a little separate than the first three because this one is interactive. It kicks in afterward. Kind of like answering questions specific to the user's contract, remembering the conversation, or even drafting the negotiation email. So to summarize, the first three are like an assembly line, raw contract in, and finished analysis out, with each agent handling the structured output to the next. And the fourth one is just the interactive layer to ask any follow-up.
Hello everyone. I'm Ayush and I'll be going over the RAG architecture of our project. Now, as we saw that multiple agents are working together in the backend, starting from the first agent that will extract the individual clauses present in the uploaded document. And then these individual clauses are converted into 384 dimensional vector embeddings in a vector space so that we can get the true semantic meaning out of these clauses and not just match a keywords. After this is done, cosine similarity search is ran across the our ChromaDB knowledge base, which contains a total of 27 documents, out of which 7 are real world CUAD contracts, which we mentioned earlier. Uh, and once the search is done, the top two most relevant or the most similar contracts are taken as reference by our LLM model so that it could give a proper output. This is useful because the RAG not just gets the data out of matching keywords, but also real world references. And even in our knowledge base, we'll see that there are different types of contracts and agreements like the non-compete, termination, IP ownerships, and many more, which helps the model in giving a relevant and very appropriate output. Now, this is how our risk scoring works exactly. So as we can see, the overall score is calculated by assigning respective weights for each kind of clause type, and then they are multiplied by the actual score they got, and then an average weight is then used to normalize all the scores. And these specific scores are then majorly classified into three categories like low, medium, high. And these are the thresholds which determine which category the clause will fall into. Next slide. And these are the findings and results that we got from our development of this project. As we can see, we got a CUAD F1 score of 91%, which basically means that it was 90% accurate on real world contracts and documents and was able to extract all the individual clauses. And we can also see the clause detection and jurisdiction identity rate was at 100%, including on our synthetic test data set. And as we know that jurisdiction is important because laws change based on the geographical location. So that's was very good. And we also noticed a score deviation of 2 points on our scale. And in addition, we also found these findings, which were quite significant, as we saw that Llama 3.3 Grok model is able to conduct a real-time contract analysis for the users. And the RAG model also does a good job of including the jurisdiction of that particular user to get the proper output. And the conversational agent specifically also does a good job of giving an coming up with different negotiation emails that the user can then use. And now we'll be going over a live demo of our project to see how these models work together.
Hi everyone, I'm Sushmita. So I'm going to give you a live demo of our project. So our project supports almost 5 types of contracts. One is non-disclosure agreement, employment agreement, freelance or service contracts, master service agreements, and lease agreements. So we have 2 types to upload the text or a contract, either in the PDF format or in the text format. So for now, I'll be uploading in the text format. So this is the residential lease agreement. So when I hit on the analyze contract, so this goes to all of the 4 agents and understands. So the first agent extracts the raw text and marks the clause, and the second agent marks the risk analysis, and the third one negotiates or it describes or advises the negotiation advices, and then the last agent where we can chat and ask precisely about our own contract. So it takes about 60 seconds or 30 to 60 seconds. So here we can see the contract type is a residential lease and the jurisdiction is Massachusetts. So here we can see it's a medium risk score, which is around 6.7 out of 10. And here we can see what exactly were the clauses. So it marks 5 clauses, out of which the auto renewal, we can see what was the original text and what exactly it means. So this contract will automatically renew for 1 year terms unless one of the parties gives 60 days notice to stop it. So this is like a medium risk score. And the termination is pretty high risk score because they say 3-day notice for non-payment. So 30 days notice for any other breach. So it's a very tight risk schedule that for 3 days notice, and about the payment terms is also marked pretty high. So they say you must pay 2,850 by 5th of each month or face $150 of late fee. So this is a stricter payment method than unusual. And governing law is of a medium risk. So this contract is governed by Massachusetts law, which has a moderate employee protection. And the expiration date, it's a low score. So if we move on to the next, so this is like a zero jargon. You can, if people don't understand legal stuff, then they can read what exactly it means in the plain English. So here we can just go through this and what each clause that is explained in more plain English here. And going forward to the negotiation report, so it gives us a proper advice or what exactly can we negotiate to the landlord or the lease agreement owner, like about what exactly we must negotiate, especially about the termination clause and the about the payment terms and the recommendation. And here we, if we click on the download report, we get to download all of the negotiation stuff in one PDF format. And this is the unique thing, like we can chat whatever regarding to our own contract. So here I can ask, is the 3-day termination legal? And it says the 3-day termination notice for non-payment as specified in the contract may be considered as questionable under Massachusetts law. And I can ask, should I sign this contract? So it says, based on the analysis, I would advise against the signing the contract as it is and do some negotiation. So, and I can ask, write an email to the landlord. So it writes me a proper email what I have to ask in terms of negotiation. So this is pretty much how it works. So actually, the average Bostonian like pays almost $3,000 month rent per month, and they sign lease. So they don't fully understand what exactly each contract means. So this systems gives us more understanding if even if it's a student, immigrant, or a first time renter. So the same level of contract understanding that use like cost $400 we have to pay for a lawyer. So that's what we built. Thank you.
As we just saw the demo right now, um, now let me explain what makes our solution different from the existing tool. Mostly, NLP platform can identify entities like names, dates, or organizations, but they don't evaluate the legal meaning or risk of a contract. Our system goes a step further to analyze what each clause does and assigns a risk score using a scale from 1 to 10 with explanation and considering jurisdiction specific clause. It can also detect contradictions across the clause, which makes the traditional tools often miss. Users can upload a PDF, get results in under a minute, and ask follow-up questions through a conversational AI assistant, and even generate a negotiation mail. We validated our approach on a CUAD benchmark dataset and achieved a 91% F1 score, showing a strong real-world performance. So now moving on to the next slide. While our current system performs well, there are several opportunities for improvement. First, we plan to make a risk score more data driven by training a real contract dispute outcomes rather than the relying on a mainly on predefined legal rules. We can also aim to expand our RAG knowledge base using verified legal sources such as official status and trusted legal database. In future, we would like to support additional jurisdictions including the UK, Europe, and India, add multilingual contract analysis, introduce features like contract comparison, and identifying the specific compliance check. So here I would like to conclude our goal was just to simply create a legal contract review that makes it more accessible. We developed a 4-agent LangGraph pipeline that analyzes the contract, provides the understandable legal insights in under 60 seconds, and supports its answers using retrieval augmented generation. Our system achieved a 91% F1 score on the CUAD benchmark dataset and 100% cause detection on a synthetic test set. The conversational AI assistant follow-ups uses to ask the follow-up questions and generate negotiation email tailored to their contracts. Overall, our architecture is scalable and can be enhanced with the better legal sources and improve the risk models and support for the additional jurisdictions. And these are our references which we had referred for our project. Thank you. Okay, let's see.